You want to start us off? You want to take your glasses off? Do you want to engage? Hey, are you good?
I thought she was doing off the record stuff first now. Is that what she said? You just said we're doing off the record.
Glasses off.
Baby, make me tell you this. I won't waste no time, I'll be proceeding quick. The way you're moving lately got me feeling sick. Like say you forgot to know you're dealing with.
Hello, Afrowave family. Welcome back to Keeping Up with the Creatives, episode 3. Today we have myself here, Tracy. If you've watched our videos prior to, you know my name is Tracy Nwalie, and I currently live in Seattle, and I am half of the host of this beautiful show. My host is Caleb.
Hi guys. My name is Caleb. I'm the better half of the show. I'm here in Seattle, but as you can see, I'm on my lovely island,
We are recording this on Sunday. I would
south of France. I'm in Seattle, but right now I'm in the south of France on my beautiful island. And that's really all we have. More information about me is in the first 2 episodes and the link below.
Okay. That being said, we're gonna jump into our guest today. We have Ebrima and Ivan here with us, right there. I know you guys can, and they're gonna talk to us about their podcast. I'm gonna let them introduce themselves, and I already told you guys their first names. Ivan and Ebrima, please go ahead and tell us who you are.
Okay. I go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you guys, first of all, for having us. Like we're excited. We've been looking forward to having this conversation. My name is Ebrima. Mostly people pronounce it Ebrima, but it's okay. It's Ebrima. Ebrima Badjie, that's my name. I come from the Gambia, West Africa, smallest country in mainland Africa. So we're small but mighty people. That's what I like to say. Live here too, in Seattle, Washington, working here, young African professional, trying to make it in America and hopefully, get a chance to go back and impact our society. So we're in that journey right now.
The Smiling Coast, right?
The Smiling Coast, yeah. The Smiling.
Okay, so it's Ebrima. How's
Ebrima.
Ebrima.
Okay,
Yes.
I'm trying to learn here, Caleb. Okay, thank you, Ebrima.
And I'm correcting you.
Ivan, his partner. So go ahead, Ivan, introduce
Yeah, thanks for having us again. My name is Ivan Idro. I come from the Pearl of Africa, Uganda, and well, that's one half. My other half is Rwandese. On my mom's side, I'm co-host on the Jola meets Madi. That's our podcast. When did we meet?
We met at a fashion
we met at a fashion show that we were doing together, and I guess that was like the beginning of our friendship. And
okay.
I mean, the rest is history. We're now in GQ. Vogue. You can look for us there.
Okay.
We're part-time models too,
Just like Ebrima, I'm a young African professional, just trying to make the best, out of our opportunity here, and hopefully impact everybody back home in the same way.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, are you guys part of the Big Five? Here in Seattle, I know a lot of young professionals are part of like the big tech companies. So let us know who you work for and what you do for your company.
Okay. So yeah, I work at for I guess the Big Five. Is it a Boeing company? Yeah.
That's part of it. Yeah.
Yep. It sure is.
Yeah. So I've been at the Boeing company for 3 years now. I started since I was 19 as an intern. So I've really spent my whole career at the Boeing company, 3 internships, and now I've been full-time 3 years.
So you said you're 19. How old are you now?
I'm 25 now.
Okay.
Yeah, so and I graduated with a aerospace engineering degree, so I guess I'm an aerospace engineer at the Boeing company.
Awesome.
Hey, Bama, we want to talk about your accomplishment within Boeing. You got that award.
Yeah.
For redesigning the, I think, test for something. It was a patent.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, I've been lucky enough to get into a lot of engineering projects, and since I was an intern and I was able to get a U.S. patent in the process. So that was many things that I've been able to benefit from working at the Boeing company. Yeah.
That's
So
amazing.
he's collecting royalties.
That's
Please,
what I
I wish.
say.
I
Collecting
wish.
royalties for Bowen, not even
Please
doing
don't
his
be
side
spreading
podcast.
propaganda here, please.
What? You know what it is to have your own patent? That's not something everybody just gets.
It's not something light. It's not something
Exactly.
light.
You gotta flex on it.
Yeah.
No. I'm grateful. We're just grateful, you know?
Thank God.
Yeah, we thank God.
Caleb doesn't understand the word humility. Anyways, Ivan, what do you do?
So I'm actually not part of the Big Five, contrary to popular belief, like many Africans here. But I'm actually right now I'm a financial analyst. I studied finance in college, and I've been with BECU. They're a credit union here for I think a year and a half now. And I work in financial planning and analysis right now. So that's what I've been up to.
Looking for a new financial planner because your girl does not know how to save.
Well, there's a difference though. It's because I'm not like a financial advisor. Yeah.
Oh,
So,
Tracy, if you need a financial advisor, I can help you with that. Just a little down payment of like $300 for 2 hours.
That doesn't sound like good financial planning, but
but a good financial advisor will tell you invest in your future. There's no price you can put in your
right,
future.
Caleb, I'm sure you are not part of my future, but thank you for the offer. Thank you for the offer. Anyways, back to our lovely guest. Back to our guest. Can you guys, now that you guys have told us a little bit about yourself, can you tell us, like, we know you met at the fashion show, so how did that meeting at the fashion show transcend to you creating this podcast? Tell us the story behind this podcast, how it came about, like how that.
I think you got this one.
I mean, there's levels to it because it's like the fashion show is just the beginning of our friendship, and as many like friendships grow, it grew into one day like we were just chilling, and I texted him and I was like, "Yo, have you ever thought about starting a podcast?" And then he was like, "That's crazy. I was just talking to Kiki. Kiki's one of our good friends about it." And I think one thing that we always had in our friendship was like I'd be at his house till like 2, 3 in the morning, and we're just talking about God knows what, you know,
different topics.
And so I think stemming from that, we wanted to have a platform where we could at least, you know, bring people on to basically say whatever, you know, talk what they have to talk, and also give people an opportunity to, especially young African professionals, give them an opportunity to kind of highlight themselves and be put on a platform where they could, you know, spread whatever they're doing and you know, hopefully like benefit off that.
So what is your podcast about? So you just explained it a little bit and how it came about.
Yeah, I mean, so like just kind of what Ivan is saying, you know, we all have it. You find your peers, your colleagues, people kind of have the same experience as you. So i.e. for us young African professionals, where we talk about our experiences, you know, if it's from what life is like, you know, back home, you know, what we're going through. So, you know, you can sit down for hours. You can talk about, yo, this time at work, this is what I'm going through, you know. So you have multiple times where you have this conversation. So, and building, coming that, you know, we have friends too that have the same interests. We have friends who have the same, you know, kind of topics of conversation that we do. So the podcast really, you know, I would say we started it for, you know, our friends. So that, okay, how about we start recording this, putting these conversations out there, to have this dialogue with us and our friends. So we really just mainly started it to just have dialogue with our friends on different topics. That's why most of our episodes, it's our friends, our siblings that we bring along, and we kind of just have that conversation. So it's pretty very open, free-flowing dialogue that we just basically recording and putting out there for, primarily before it was just for our friends, and now whoever wants to listen. And we're finding out that a lot of people, they kind of have the same, you know, topics of interest. People message us like, yo, you know, I'm curious about knowing too what my heritage is from. How come we don't know where we're from to a certain degree? So little things like that, you know?
My next question would be, I know with yeah, it pertains to every creative out there. Somebody starting something new, like the podcast. How long did it take from like whenever you thought about it? Oh, let's start this to when you actually executed this phase and started doing this podcast.
That's a great question. I think from previous experience, like listening to previous podcasts, it helped in like speedlining the process because we knew what kind of like software we would need, you know, all the infrastructure in terms of mics and whatnot. It was a bit rocky in the beginning because we would our recording wasn't the greatest, but it's a learning process, and I think from constant feedback from other people, it led to like a continuous improvement. So I think maybe like a month or so after we had first brought it up, we started recording.
Yeah. So like I said, yeah, we didn't put, you know, much. Like it's pretty raw. If you listen to it, you're like, yeah, this is pretty raw. It's like just two guys. Imagine us just sitting down and like put a mic and we record it.
Friends,
Yes.
family.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like, how can we just get something, our thoughts, our conversations, our topics out there to our friends and family to listen as quick as possible? So that's why a lot of people came off at first like, yeah, this is very raw. Like it's like two guys just sitting down and we're just hearing them talk and listening to their conversation.
So like in this pandemic, obviously you can't have like guests there physically. How has this like situation that we're in affected your creative juices or your creativity when it comes to your podcast? Like with the topics that you talk about, down to just executing. How has this situation affected it?
Luckily, the platform that we have, we can record remotely if we need to. But as far as the situation we're in, I think 2020 has just been crazy overall. So we haven't had like, I think it's almost been a positive thing made out of a negative thing because we have so much to talk about.
Yeah.
And like from Corona to the unfortunate passing of like Kobe Bryant and Pop Smoke, and there's just always been something to talk about. So from a creative standpoint, I'd say it hasn't been very limiting. No.
It's been a blessing. Yeah, it's been a blessing in disguise because
Yeah, exactly.
you're not short of topics. Because 2020 is crazy is an understatement for real.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So like you said, like your topics ranges from like a broad vast. Like I'm looking at you like just your podcast. You've had your dad. I know your dad came out one time. We have DJ Nara come out. You have different people. I Kiki on your show. How do you? There's so many ideas and so many like I guess reach with your podcast. How do you narrow down? Okay, this is who we're gonna talk about next week or next episode. This is who we're gonna pick or this is the topic we're gonna go with. How do you come up with those ideas and how long does it take to come up with those ideas?
I would say our podcast, we kind of always have a central theme, right? Every guest, every topic we have, it's almost like our core or what is mainly centered around is always, you know, Pan-African or Afrocentric. So it's always built around that. So we already know our conversations are, you know, Pan-African or very Afrocentric based conversations that, you know, reaches the diaspora or people back home. So now how do we translate that to what we have here? It's now bringing in our guests that have different conversations. It can vary, like having Kiki, you know, you have a Black woman basically propelling in corporate America, you know, but she's African too, so she can bring in the African-centered things. And I feel like Ivan can add to this too. If you watch our first episode, our first release was Where You Really From? Mm-hmm. So that's the central theme of our podcast is, you know, basically embracing your heritage and really diving deep into our heritages. And now whenever we have guests, we can have different conversations, but at the end of the day, that's really the central theme of trying to understand where we're coming from and where our conversations, you know, are based out of.
Yeah, I think also adding on to that, it's our heritage sets the precedent for the conversation. So any guests that we have coming in, they are gonna speak on their heritage. So perspectives always come from whatever heritage they may come from, if you know they are like well in tune with that. And I think from planning guests, we sit down actually before we're on season 2 now, so we sat down before season 2,
right?
And we, you know, set out like 10 episodes, and we're like, all right, who are we gonna have? What are we gonna talk about? Does it make sense? Does it flow with the theme? So yeah, That's how it goes.
Yeah, we usually just plan it out, a season, and it can't be too rigid. You want to be flexible for, you might have, an interesting guest might come down your line or want to collaborate with someone else. So we try and plan that. We schedule out, let's say, our first half of the season. But we really do offer flexibility for, if someone else wants to collaborate with us, have a topic of conversation, if we can, we'll fit them in our schedule and we'll record with them.
Right.
Well, following that, who has been your favorite guest so far? And
Oh,
wow, triggered.
Nah,
We like all our guests.
favorite, but like, who has been your just most authentic conversation? Just like, I mean, you still like when you think about your favorite episode, that's the person you think about. No offense to your other guests or anything.
nah, but I think
That's hard to answer.
it's hard to answer because every episode for us brings such like interesting insight to whatever we're talking about.
Yeah.
So I genuinely have enjoyed every episode that we have. I tend to stray towards music more because I love music. So any of like the music centered episodes I really like. And I also really like history. So anything centered towards history, I also enjoy a lot.
You talked about you like music a lot. We know you recently had DJ Nyram on your podcast. This question is directed towards you more so, Ivan. We all know that also in the Seattle area, you're a DJ. So what propelled you to go into like this, like to start like I want to be a DJ, and like how did that interview go, knowing to like interact with another DJ as yourself?
You said what was the last part of the question?
So how was like, I know the whole podcast you had with DJ Nyram, how was that? How did you connect on that, being that both of you have a similar background when it comes to being a DJ?
Oh yeah, I mean Nyram actually he listens to the podcast, and when he would always like reach out via our Instagram page and say like, yo, I really enjoyed this episode and da da da, and we actually had connected maybe a year ago or two, and I was a fan of his because he plays good music, and I guess that's just how we connected is through the general African like scene in Seattle. I reached out to him. Ebrima thought it was a great idea, and he's a big name in Seattle, and so we thought it was perfect that he could come on and offer us some insight into his craft and what he does. So that's how it came about. Really, was just by reaching out to
the
him.
next big female DJ in Seattle. So
Who?
You're trying to be one?
Kayla?
No,
I'm trying to be the next big female DJ in Seattle. Kayla.
Yeah,
you know somebody called I?
Okay, that's okay. That's fine. But how did you find DJing to be your hobby, Ivan? And then Ebrima, you share what your hobby is apart from the podcast as well.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
I apologize. Allergy season.
Got the runner.
No.
It's okay. You covered your nose. That's all that matters.
Yeah. How did I find DJing to be my hobby? Honestly, I have like 3 cousins that are DJs in the family. And so when I was growing up as a kid in Uganda, they would bring home this thing called virtual DJ or PC DJ.
Yeah.
And I would be, as a kid, I'd just be playing on the laptop, not knowing what I'm doing.
Right.
And I dropped that, and my love for music just always made sense. Like if I was at a party and the DJ made a nice transition, I'd be like, oh, that's cool. And then when I was, I think 20, I went back to Uganda, and my cousin's roommate actually gave me this software, Virtual DJ. Again, he reintroduced it to me. And I just had so much fun, like, with the transitions and just being able to create like a mix. And I think that's where like it really picked up. And now it's like something like I do before I go to bed. I just need to like mix music.
Right. That's your hobby.
Yeah, it's nice. Like it's fun to do.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What about you, Ebrima? What's a hobby of yours?
Model.
I have seen the pictures.
I mean, that's on the side. Yeah, I could. I'm like the model who's very shy, but I could model. Yeah,
like a good model. Listen, people, if you're watching this out there, he's being the type of humility this guy is just being right now. Is
Yes.
because I have seen the pictures, people. Okay.
Yeah, modeling is one. I'll say,
Trust me, she's seen the picture. She be up every day just scrolling, stalking.
Yeah.
The modeling is definitely a hobby that I've grown into, and it dates back to 2016 meeting him at a fashion show, and I really attribute that to my really good friend Delapo since college, who really got me out of that shell, and got me out of there. Hey, go out there and the model, and I've grown to like it. So that's definitely one. I'm a typical African guy too. We like to play football. Watch some Premier League. So I'm very, I would say, old school in that sense of things. I want to watch football. I'm just trying to play football as much as I can. It's very sports oriented. So I would say those are my hobbies.
He wakes up at like 4 or 5 a.m. to watch Man United.
Yeah, exactly. That type of dedication.
Yeah.
I cannot. Who's your team? Not that
Manchester United, Man U. Both of us are Man U fans. Yeah.
Who manages for this show?
Who's your team?
Me, I'm an Arsenal fan, so.
Banter team.
Well, let's not even go there.
We can't hear you guys from 11th place.
I mean, by the way, the season doesn't really count. You feel me? It got canceled. So in reality, we saw this coming, so we didn't put that much effort into the season because we saw this coming. So that's really what it was.
I see. Sense. Hey, losers mentality.
Yeah.
You got it.
It is what it is.
Caleb, these shots that are getting fired at you today.
It's a Sunday, so I'll take it.
Anyways. Okay, so back to the podcast. So where do you see this podcast going in the future? Like, what is your vision for this podcast, and who kind of do you have your eyes out to have on the podcast next, and just your vision for the future of where you want to take this podcast with you guys?
What do you say?
I mean, we can both. I can share my opinion, and I guess he can share. Probably would be different. But I would say for me, like I said, initially, we really did this podcast just for our friends, right? And our friends listen to our family. The biggest impact I've had so far is from people I had no clue of. I don't know them. They're messaging you, and they're really spending time, writing long messages telling you how much they appreciate the podcast, how much they relate to it, and they've been looking for these conversations that we're having, so they totally relate to it. So for me, the vision I have with this podcast, I hope, is just there's in this diaspora. Oh, he got me. This guy, bro.
Yeah.
So cool down, simmer.